Hey YouTube, it's your girl, Dr. J, the Midlife Writer, and on this channel I talk a lot about my family's adventure. It's me, my husband, and our three teenagers, and our move from Huntsville, Alabama to South Korea. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in this video, but the focus is going to be on one particular concept, and that is why we did not fire when ready. And so what do I mean by not firing when ready? FIRE stands for financial independence, retiring early. And a lot of people in the FIRE movement have a goal of retiring abroad. And that was my husband and I's goal for quite a bit of time. We said we really wanted to live outside of the United States. And we originally thought the way to do that was going to be using FIRE or retiring early. However, as we got closer to our FIRE number, we realized that early retirement really wasn't the thing for us. And there were a few reasons why retiring early wasn't necessarily the right fit, even though moving abroad and being financially independent were still huge priorities for us. So what I'm going to talk about first is why retiring early wasn't a great fit for us. One of the reasons why retiring early wasn't really a good fit for us is because of our household makeup. We have three children. All three of our kids are currently teenagers. One is about to start his sophomore year in college, and then the other two, they're a set of twins. They're about to start their senior year of high school, and then they'll be going to college the next year. When you have three kids who are all going to be in college at the same time, it's really a little precarious situation to say, okay, well, I'm going to stop my money exactly where it is and just live off the interest or residual income. We just really weren't ready to make that call, especially because while we do know the cost for my oldest, who's in college, we're not really sure where my twins are going to end up or what sort of scholarships they're going to get. So that was a little bit unknown there. And so we just really weren't ready to make that call. But there's some other things associated with having teenagers, why retiring early really wasn't the thing for us, and it has nothing to do with college. The first is that we uprooted the lives of three teenagers, and although they were really excited about moving abroad and moving to South Korea, we still knew that that was going to be a huge transition for them. They were transitioning at a time in their lives when it's kind of chaotic anyway. My twins were going to be coming up on their senior year, and you know, my son was already in college pretty far away from home. He didn't go to college in Alabama. He went into college in the Northeast. So he was, pretty far away from home. And so there was already that sort of disruption. And so because we were going to be providing more disruption into their lives, we didn't really feel comfortable saying that, okay, we have decided to cut off to cut off all of the adventures that you do, all your interests, because we have to pare things down. We knew that when we moved abroad, because we were bringing a family of five, it wasn't the time to downsize our lives. We especially couldn't downsize at a time when my kids were kind of trying to find their place in the world. And so it would have been tough for us to move from the space that we had and go into a significantly smaller space. Y'all know we were in Huntsville, Alabama. And in Alabama, as in a lot of places in the South, houses are big. And so I know a lot of people when they move international, and y'all, sorry about the sun. Y'all know I love having my windows open and all that kind of stuff. It's not great for video, but it's great for my mental health. So sun is shining. But it's one of those things. We have a lot of space in the South, and a lot of times when people move internationally, they talk about moving into smaller spaces, going into apartments or things like that. And we were moving from a home and we wanted to move into a home when we were in South Korea. And so we were able to move into a home that was comparable in size, actually a little bit larger than the home that we had when we were in Huntsville, Alabama. And so that was great because we are in a space that can feel like home for my kids as much as it feels like home for my husband and I. Now we are renting this space, so it doesn't mean that we're going to be in this house for our entirety of living abroad. But for now, this is a home that works for us because all of my kids are able to have their own bedroom. And even though they are going to be away at college, soon, I do have my twins here now. They need their space. They're teenagers. They have to do their schoolwork. They have to be able to do their hobbies. They have to be able to relax. My son, who comes home for spring break and winter break and all this other sort of stuff, it needs to feel like home for him. He's still very much a part of our household, and we wanted our home to feel like home for my kids as well. And also, we're a pretty close family. And so we wanted our kids to know that there was always going to be room for them in our lives, no matter where we were in the world. And so having a space that makes that ring true really was important to us. We also wanted to make sure that there was space available for friends and family when they came to visit. I know one of the things that I see a lot in videos where people decide to move back to the United States after they've moved abroad is because they feel kind of lonely. They miss their family. They miss their friends. And we were very aware of that. And so we wanted to make sure that we had a home where when friends or family wanted to come visit, we would have space for them. We would be able to welcome them. And I know sometimes people say, well, families say they're going to come visit and they never do. But we actually have family members who are getting their plane tickets right now to come visit us. And so we wanted to make sure that there was going to be space and room for them as well. So that's another reason why kind of firing and having a set income level and a set amount of money that we were going to have to live off the residuals from, it didn't make sense for us where we were in life at that particular moment. And so that's one of the big reasons why we weren't at a time when we wanted to downsize our space, downsize our life in that regard. Another reason why retiring early wasn't right for us at this time is because we didn't want to leave money on the table. I know that for a lot of people, they are like, okay, we're good. We've reached our fire number and we're ready to go. And even though we had gotten really close to our fire number, particularly if we were going to retire in lower cost places like Mexico or Panama or Belize, some places in South Korea, Thailand, few places in Europe, few places on the continent of Africa, it's like, okay, well, we could have been okay, but we still have jobs that, we have our 401k type accounts, not directly a 401k because we're for government, but we have those type of retirement accounts. And we also have a pension-based retirement account that we put into. We get a matching up to 5% of what we put into our 401k type accounts. Then we also have our pension that we're putting into. And so the more we put into those accounts, the more lucrative our retirement will be when we choose to actually retire. And if we had retired early, right now, we would have left tens of thousands of dollars on the table that we would have never seen. And so the numbers didn't make sense for us at this time. That doesn't mean that we're not going to retire early at all. I'm 48. My husband is 51. Do we both plan on working until we are 67 years old so we can get the full Social Security benefit? No, we probably are not going to be working until we are 67 years old. But we weren't ready to retire at 48 and 51 and leave the thousands upon thousands of dollars on the table that we would be increasing our retirement contributions for at this time. So the math didn't make sense for us to put that aside and leave that stuff off the table and leave that money unearned that would really help us quite significantly in the future. The other thing was that because of the type of insurance that we have, even though medical bills do not cost a lot here in South Korea, there is a cost. However, they do take a lot of US insurance, and the insurance that doesn't come off directly, but you can actually be reimbursed for a lot of your medical care through the reimbursement process for some US providers. And our medical insurance that we have is one of those providers where we can get reimbursement for medical costs because we still have medical insurance. And so the other thing was because our kids were going to be going to college in the United States, we wanted to make sure that we had medical coverage for our children. And so we needed to keep jobs so that we could keep insurance, because paying on the market for medical insurance would have been significantly more expensive than our medical coverage right now that is employer sponsored. And we have very good insurance. And if our kids were going to be in college in the United States while we were living overseas, we wanted to make sure that they had the best medical coverage available. And working and continuing to work and have employer sponsored medical coverage made a lot of sense because it covers us here in South Korea and it covers my children while they're in college in the US. And so again, that was another reason why it didn't make sense for us to retire right now with our family of 5, the way our household was set up. And so again, will we have this conversation again once my kids are all like 24, no longer on our insurance? Yeah, we can have that conversation again then. But for right now, it made more sense for us to continue working and to keep our employer-sponsored medical coverage. And so that's something that I don't really hear a lot of people talk about, how they are keeping their kids insured if they do have children. And so our children are minors, even though I have a college student, he's actually not 18 yet. He started college early. But even after that, we still want to keep our kids covered even after they're 18 years old, while they're in college and getting started in life. We have committed to paying for our kids' college. That's just how our household is structured, and that is a family value that we have. And keeping our kids medically insured is also something that we have committed to, even after the age of 18, while they're in college, because that is a family value that we have. And so this allows us to do that. Another reason why we decided that retiring early really wasn't a good fit for us is because of the type of retirement we wanted to have. And so when we think of retirement, my husband and I consider retirement where you no longer have any need to generate new money. So you are able to live off of the money that you invested, off of the processes that you put in place, off of the money that you already earn. And so there's no need for you to work anymore. I would say when I truly retire, the only thing I may still do is write. You guys know I call myself the Midlife Writer. And so I wrote, my books are here. So I wrote the Steam Chaser series. So I'm still adding more books to the series, but Steam Chaser series. So I'll continue to, I have written since I was a little girl. I will probably continue to write until the day I die. So I love writing. And so I will probably continue to write and continue to publish, but not to make money. So when we consider ourselves ready for retirement, it is really when we know we've reached a point where, number one, our jobs are no longer rewarding, and or number two, we no longer need to generate new income in order for us to be able to be okay financially for the rest of our lives. And so that's what retirement means for us. For us, it's not retirement to leave one job, but to still continue to work other jobs. And so I didn't feel like we were at a point, or I was even mentally at a point where I was ready to say, I don't have any need to generate any more money for the rest of my life. I plan on living another 50 years, right? And so I really wasn't ready to say, you know, everything that I've earned up to these 48 years of my life, this is going to sustain me for the rest of my existence, which will probably be at least equal to another 48 years, right? Hope, fingers crossed, right? And so that just didn't vibe with me. And when my husband got his position here in South Korea, when he got the offer, it was a dream job. It is not like we begrudgingly took whatever jobs came available to us in order to move out of the country. That really wasn't what we were going for. And that's not what we advocate for with Wi-Fi. It's really about finding the position that makes a lot of sense for you. And that includes it being rewarding for you, not just financially rewarding, but something that you really want to do. For almost every job that you find inside the United States, you find those jobs internationally. And there are places where they're looking for specifically for US citizens to work those jobs, whether they be with a government, with our government, or a government contractor, or a US-based organization, or sometimes even international organizations who are specifically looking for US citizens to serve in particular roles. And so a lot of those positions are extraordinarily rewarding. And so my husband was offered a job that he absolutely loves. And so that, it wasn't a downgrade professionally, it was an upgrade for him professionally. And I was in a position where I was going to have to change positions because of the job that I did. It wasn't a job where I could take that particular job overseas because of the access I had. And so I needed to, so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to retire? Because we were at a point where we no longer needed a dual income home. And so even though my husband was going to be working, I didn't necessarily have to work when we moved to South Korea. And I didn't start working right away. I kind of took my time. There were some offers that I got for positions here in South Korea that I decided they weren't good fits for me. And so I was able to wait until I got an offer that I wanted, and that was going to be rewarding for me, that was going to keep me in my same field, and that was going to allow me to continue to grow in my career path that I had chosen. And that's when I said yes. And so that's the other thing. So Wi-Fi made sense for me. So, and then if I didn't, if I didn't find a position that made sense for me, I would have continued to write, but I would have, kind of increased the output that I was putting out as a writer. And I would have continued to do my courses and things, because I work with people who want to become writers themselves, who want to publish their books. And so I am a consultant for people who choose to, write and want their voice out there and would like to learn how to publish books and how to get offers and all that sort of stuff. And so I would have leaned more into that, and I still do it, but I also have an offer that will allow me to be in South Korea on my own visa as well. Because right now I'm here on my, when I originally came, I was here on my husband's visa. And so those are things that, you just really have to take into consideration what's going to make the most sense for you and your family. And so for us, that is what made the most sense. But the big reason for us to step back from the retire early part of FIRE, but keep the financial independence part of FIRE, is because we realized it wasn't a choice that we had to make. Because positions were available for us, work positions were available for us that would provide us with long-term visas, that would cover housing costs, that would get us to countries that we really wanted to see, experience, enjoy, and live in, allow us the full benefit of living internationally, bringing our children with us and providing our children with long-term visas and our children with amazing international experiences, all the while continuing in our careers, continuing moving towards even greater financial independence, and putting even more money away for our eventual retirement. And we're living the life that we always wanted to live. And so that's the big message that I have for people who are kind of going, well, I really want to live internationally, but I'm not, I'm kind of far away from my FIRE number, or I just heard about this a little bit later and I'm already in midlife. I'm here to tell you, you don't necessarily have to choose. If you enjoy working, you enjoy the work that you do, there might be a possibility for you to be able to secure a position internationally so you can still work in the country that you want to work in, you want to live in, and still contribute to your retirement, still keep employer-sponsored health insurance, particularly if you have children who are under your health insurance as well, even if they're going to be adults and they'll be in college or something like that, but they still need to have healthcare coverage. If you are going to want to have a space that is big enough so that you can have friends and family come visit you, so you can fight off the lonelies. And if you're not ready to downsize your life, if you still want to have those great adventures, or you want to still continue to contribute to your clothes and shoe closet, because not everybody is ready to say, never again will I buy another shoe. Never again will I buy a nice purse. Never again will I go to a certain place. We get to enjoy traveling and staying at nicer hotels. We get to have bigger and bigger adventures. We get to do all of those things that make life more sweet and more beautiful for us, because those are the things that are important for our family. So I really love the fact that we haven't had to sacrifice the life that we want to live in order to move internationally. Working internationally is allowing us to do all the things that we wanted to do, and do it in a time that makes sense for us, and do it in a way that benefits our entire family of 5. And so that's the message that I wanted to send. If you are maybe interested, or if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. If you think that maybe Wi-Fi or FIRE is the thing for you, definitely feel free to comment below. Tell me, why. Why is FIRE the better fit for you? Why is Wi-Fi the better fit for you? Those sort of things. I really would hope to get the conversation started. I would love to continue to share about our family of 5 and how we moved from Huntsville, Alabama, here to South Korea, and just, continue to grow this community. If you like what you hear, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Dr. J, the Midlife Writer. Bye-bye.